Hi Storytime friends, welcome to a really special story time. I think you can kind of get a feel for where I am on my vacation right now, but if you can't, you can see on my cover that we are at the Grand Canyon, and I wanted to share a special book with you written by Jason Chin. And what we're going to read about is a father and a daughter who take a hike from the very bottom of the canyon all the way to the top, which is a really long hike to do. My husband and I thought we could do it in one day. We really can't. So let's go ahead and read our story about the Grand Canyon. We're gonna start when it's dark outside. Grand Canyon is one of the largest canyons in the world. It is 227 miles long, as much as 18 miles wide and more than a mile deep, but it's much more than just a big hole in the ground. You can see that there. It's home to an astonishing variety of plants and animals. The canyon is much hotter and drier at the bottom than at the top. Because of this, different groups of plants and animals of ecological communities are found at different elevations in the canyon. The hottest part of the canyon is in the bottom, 1,000 feet deep chasm called the Inner Gorge. So you see our friends that are camping there? The Inner Gorge may be the hottest part of the canyon, but there are oases in the desert. See all our different types of rock. You can see all the different types of rock behind me. Creeks bring life-giving water into the gorge, and a wide variety of species live along their banks, including frogs, dragonflies, mule deer, and the endangered southwestern willow flycatcher. Many of these creatures are permanent residents that rely on running water for survival, while others are visitors drawn here by their thirst. So our friends were camping by the river to get water. Eventually, every creek in the canyon flows into the largest stream of all, the Colorado River. Do you see how they're crossing the suspension bridge there? There's another one farther down there. The Colorado runs the entire length of the Grand Canyon, continually washing sediment away and slowly deepening its channel. It's been cutting into the land for around 5 million years. That's a lot of years. Slicing through layer after layer of rock. Today is cutting into the Vishnu basement rocks. These rocks are part of the continental basement, the bottommost layer of rock on the continent. I don't think I knew that. The basement rocks are the oldest in the canyon, and as much as 1.84 billion years old. Many rock layers are stacked on top of them. If you hike out of the canyon, you'll pass younger and younger layers as you climb, as if walking up through time. Above the basement layer, you'll reach the Grand Canyon supergroup. Here, you may find ripple marks preserved in the stone. Clues like these tell us what this place was like when the rock formed. They are like windows to the past. So this is us pretending to be in the past. This is the Grand Canyon. Doesn't really look like it, does it? Because it's 1.2 billion years ago when the only living things on Earth were microbes, such as algae and bacteria. Although they were too small to see, these primitive organisms filled the oceans and were some of the earliest life forms on the planet. The mud from this tidal flat eventually transformed into a layer of solid rock, and these ripple marks were preserved in the process. They are now part of the Grand Canyon supergroup. After climbing out of the Inner Gorge, you find yourself on a broad, sun-baked slope. The plants and animals here are well adapted for life with little water. Black-throated sparrows can go from long periods without taking a drink, and many creatures sleep during the heat of the day. Pocket mice forage at night and are preyed on by owls and rattlesnakes, who are adapted for hunting in the dark. These animals are living on the rock layer called the Bright Angel Shale. which formed more than 200 million years after the Grand Canyon supergroup. The trilobite fossils in the rocks tell us that this spot once lay beneath the sea. That's pretty cool. This is the Grand Canyon, 515 million years ago. By this time in Earth's history, many multicellular plants and animals had evolved. Soft-bodied jellyfish floated above clam-like brachiopods, and tiny hyoliths, some of the first creatures on Earth with shells. That's cool. Trilobites, the first animals known to have eyes. There's your trivia for the day. Roamed the seafloor. Around them, worm-like creatures burrowed into the sediment that eventually transformed into the bright angel shale. Oh, we're getting higher on the trail that we are hiking. Towering over the bright angel shale is a massive cliff called the Red Wall Limestone. The Red Wall has many inaccessible caves that provide nesting spots for one of the rarest birds in the world, the California condor. With a 9-foot wingspan and weighing in as much as 23 pounds, the condor is the largest land bird in North America. Condors are vultures, and during the Ice Age, they fed on the carcasses of megabeasts, like the giant ground sloth. Since then, their population has declined due to changes in climate and human activity, and now they are close to extinction. Okay, let's keep reading. Let's keep climbing up out of the canyon. Above the Red Wall Cliff is a slope of rust-red rock. The climate here is not as hot and dry as below, and pinyon pines and Utah junipers are common. Many creatures such as squirrels and chipmunks and wood rats eat their seeds. These small rodents are preyed on by gopher snakes and coyotes. At the top of the slope is the rock layer called the Hermit Formation. Fossils in the Hermit tell us that long ago, this spot was home to huge dragonflies with 8-inch wingspans. This is Grand Canyon 280 million years ago. By this time, life was flourishing on land, and trees and ferns, fish, amphibians, and reptiles had evolved. The sea had retreated from the region, and rivers flowed across the landscape. Seed, ferns, and conifers grew along their banks, and amphibians left their tracks in the mud that eventually transformed into the Hermit Formation. There's dragonflies here right now, but they're not as big as these ones. Above the red slopes of the Hermit are pale 350-foot cliffs. Bighorn sheep easily navigate their narrow ledges with specially adapted hooves. This is true, we saw some on the trail. In the fall mating season, males compete for dominance by smashing into each other with their battering ram horns. These cliffs have carved from the Coconino sandstone fossil footprints in the rock tell us that at this spot 275 million years ago, an early reptile walked across huge windswept dunes. With little water, life here would have been difficult, but the desert wasn't entirely barren. Among the other species that called it home were scorpions, millipedes, and spiders. As the desert wind whipped across the landscape, sand piled up in thin layers. Today, these layers are preserved in the Coconino sandstone as thin, angled surfaces called crossbeds. Oh, we're getting higher. As you approach the rim of the canyon, that's at the top, the climate becomes cooler and more moist. Vegetation on the sloping Toroweap Formation is more dense than below. Before exiting the canyon, however, there is one more layer to scale, the Kebab Formation. The Kebab's limestone cliffs are full of marine fossils that tell us about life here 270 million years ago. Look at that! When the ocean again covered the land. Fossils in the Kebab Formation tell us of a complex ecosystem. The seafloor was home to sea lilies and birozodons, sponges, and coral. Trilobites and brachiopods lived alongside them, while nautiloids, as many as 40 species of shark, patrolled the water above them. Many of these creatures, such as coral and brachiopods, had hard shells. When they died, their shells piled up on the seafloor and eventually transformed into the limestone of the Kebab Formation. If you ascend from the Colorado River to the south rim of Grand Canyon, you will have climbed nearly 5,000 feet and passed through 3 distinct habitats. Above the rim, you'll find one more. The Ponderosa Pine Forest is home to tassel-eared squirrels, deer, and elk. Bobcats, coyotes, hawks hunt here, as well as the top predators in the canyon, mountain lions. We did not see any mountain lions. That was probably for the best. Because of the great size and depth, Grand Canyon has a wide range of climates and habitats. And species that call the canyon home today survive on ancient rocks, rocks that tell us about life here long before there was a canyon. It's taken millions of years of weathering and erosion to expose these rocks and shape this breathtaking landscape, and these processes continue to this day, relentlessly excavating. You guys ready? Grand Canyon. Although, you get a better view from behind me. So I hope you guys enjoyed that special story. It was a long one. Hope you guys stuck it out. Hello from Arizona. Can't wait to see you guys when I get back from vacation. Have a great day, guys.